Good afternoon. I have just returned from Buckingham Palace, where I accepted an invitation.
So the UK elections are over, and let's break down this incredible landslide victory by the Labour Party. So as we see, 80% of Britons didn't even vote for this. That's being that only 9 million people voted for Labour out of 48 million registered voters. It was the lowest voter turnout in 20 years. Only 59% voted compared to 67% in 2019. So a huge drop there. And really, let's break down these numbers. So the main thing we've got here is the Labour, only 33% of the voters voted for Labour. That's the main point. Only 33% of people that actually voted for Labour. So we have a landslide majority. I mean, these guys are 410 is 2/3 of Parliament. A landslide majority in the seats, yet only 33% voted. This is so undemocratic. It's so pathetic. I mean, how it calls itself a democracy. You know, if I rig something and totally manipulate things, so, you know, out of 10 people, 9 people can vote one thing, but if this one person votes it, I get in. That's called rigged. Well, that's what we have here. And we're going to explain why it happened and why it's needed, unfortunately. This is not going to be about why it's a bad thing. It's going to be why it's needed. So let's break down the numbers again. 9 million people voted for Labour, 6.8 million voted for Conservatives, and 4 million voted for Reform. What happened to Reform? They only got 5 seats. Let's see who got 5 seats as well. Oh, look at that. The DUP with just 170,000 seats. That's what is that in percentage for a Reform's vote? That's 5% of what Reform got. 5% of what Reform got, they got the same amount of seats as Reform. I mean, guys, come on, this is just pathetic. I can give you more, you know, comments on the same thing, but it's basically pathetic. It's totally undemocratic. 5% of Reform's vote and they get the same 5 MPs. Pathetic. Then we've got over here, the Lib Dems in red. Look at that, 72 seats, 3.5 million. Reform 4 million and they get 5 seats. It's pathetic. So totally corrupt. Now, let's see the next point, which is the blue. The blue is the main circle. If we see here, you see that the Conservatives plus Reform got way above Labour. And in fact, that's exactly what happened in 2019. 2019, Reform stepped back, said, we will not put up candidates. We will, stand down candidates. So there was only one right-wing party to vote for, and that was the Conservatives. And so they won in a huge landslide as well then. But once the Reform step in, it splits the right-wing vote and Labour can get in. And mentioning that Labour vote, please note, 9 million for Keir Starmer. In 2020, Jeremy Corbyn got 10 million votes. So this thing that, he was racist and now Keir Starmer is, not anti-Semitic, so people vote for him, garbage. Less people voted for Keir Starmer now than voted for the anti-Semitic Jeremy Corbyn, and we've also had about 4 more million people added to the British population. But anyway, and so we see here, it's mad that actually less people voted for Keir Starmer. Looking at 2017 election, Jeremy Corbyn got 12 million votes. So a whole 30% more than Keir Starmer got and also lost. So it's simply, this election was simply the splitting of the right vote allowed Labour to take it in a major landslide. Now, guys, going forward, where does this take us? So where can we go from here? The only answer is either Reform will have to step down or the Conservatives will also have to step down. The right-wing votes keep splitting, there is absolutely no chance of anyone but Labour winning. And that's the predicament we're in. The Conservatives can do whatever they want, but if Reform, which was number 2 in every constituency, and in fact was only 300,000 votes from being the main opposition party, by the way, because they were number 2 in pretty much every constituency. So if they would have got a few more votes in every one of them, they would have been they would have won a huge more seats. But it's all theoretical. Anyway, the point being, if it's split, the right can't win again. It's impossible. And we know the Conservatives are on right wing anyway. They're basically Labour in blue. That's the reason why they lost. So we had low vote turnout because people couldn't be bothered. They're just realising there's no point in voting. You're just getting more of the same. We vote landslide Conservatives. We get the highest migration on record for 4 years. We get the highest taxes on record for 60 years. We get the net zero madness. We get 20 mile per hour zones. There's no point in voting. And so we get to a position where if you have below 40% voter turnout, you are basically not called a democracy anymore because people are so disheartened with the process that they just don't bother voting. That's why Putin tries extremely hard. You're like, why is he bothering with these elections? He tries extremely hard to get voter turnout out there. I think he got 45% or something. I don't know what he got, but he got above 40. And that was the point, is to show, look, we're still a democracy. But the UK is slowly dipping down, 59%, and it will go down the next time because everyone will just see the right have no chance now. If it keeps splitting, there's no chance. And there we have it. Now, my question is, why did 6.8 million people, supposed right-wing voters, supposed people that want a Conservative Party, why would they still vote for these guys? That is the main question of the election. Why would you still vote for these saps? I have no idea. Okay, but let's go with why we still need this broken system, totally rigged, so only the uni party can win, which is Labour and Conservatives. That's how it's rigged. Why do we still need it? And let's have a look over here. Let's have a look at the new MP for Brighton. By the way, the most gayest city in the UK. I don't think he'll be opening Pride 2025 celebrations. And this is the reason why we have to have this first past the post system, this rigged game allowing the uni party. It's because 4 total Islamist terrorist candidates won, right? Nearly as much as Reform. They were called independents. They got 420,000 votes, as you can see. They got in. Reform got 4 million and got nearly the same, and basically got the same amount as them. And because why? Well, the Muslims are concentrated in certain constituencies, and so they win those constituencies. And that is what will happen if we would have taken, if we break down the first past the post system, we allow proportional representation. The Muslims are about 10 million of the UK, and with Labour, we're now going to get, again, 1.5 million pretty much per year for the next 5 years. So we're looking at another 5 million, 6 million more Muslims coming in. They block vote. They can't even read English. They just hand in their ballot to the mosque, and the mosque fills it out for them. So they get 100% voting. So they punch way above their weight. And in proportional representation, they would obviously break up and do a Muslim party of Great Britain, because you don't need to win a constituency. You just represent however spread out you are, and they would win by a landslide. They would either be a kingmaker, or they would come second in any party, and simply they would just say, we don't care what your tax or spend policies or environmental. We just want Muslim money for Islamic things and for Islamic priorities, and that's all we care about. You can do what the hell you want you can do your pride parade. We couldn't care less. We just want Islamic things, and you would be voting on sectarian lines. That's why you cannot have proportional representation in the UK, because it would basically now it would just be voting on religious lines. That is how bad the UK has become. So that's why they have to keep this rigged game of the Uni Party, not allow anyone else other than these two to get in, who would basically, they just perform the same policies. We see here beautiful example of where the UK is essentially just a WEF puppet. Sunak was a plant. He was put in, undemocratically against his own party's wishes, using a rigged 1922 committee. I can go into it, but there's no point. It was put in, and he was rigged in, and he went in, and now he's passed. And he's a World Economic Forum young global leader, and Keir Starmer is also a World Economic Forum. In fact, 2 years ago, the only world leader. Well, he wasn't even a leader then, but the only major figure at the WEF, because everyone has to pretend they're not part of it now. He was the major because he doesn't care. And in a famous interview with BBC, Emily Maitland asked him if you had to choose between the policies of Davos or Westminster. He said on TV, Davos, because they most represent. He goes Westminster's, forget it. That is what he represents. He's honest, and that's why I do actually prefer the Labour Party, because in one way they're honest. They are high migration. They are high taxes. They are net zero. They are globalist agenda. So why joke around and pretend we're the Conservatives? They gaslight everyone. Let's just be open and straight. And so, as I said before, there's going to be no change with this Labour Party. It's just more of the same, more of the managed decline, more of the globalist policies, more of migration and everything. And that's it. And so finally, we hope you understand from this, we have to have this first past the post rigged system. Otherwise, we will get the Muslim Party of Great Britain being a kingmaker, and in fact just increasing and increasing. And obviously, as I said before, I think anyway, in any case, in 15 years we've got Sharia law. We've seen that the right-wing party now is right-wing vote now is split between Reform and Conservatives, and that, if this continues, that's it. There is no chance of a right wing unless one stands down and merges with the other. And there is no end to this. So we've basically got Labour winning for the next, bringing in more Muslims, eventually Sharia law in 2 elections time. Not the next one, the one after, 100%. Please like and subscribe if you haven't done so. Leave comments below if you hate what I said. That's the best thing. If you like what I said, don't leave comments. No, I'm joking. You can as well.